Greetings, Earth enthusiasts. If you ever wondered about the incredible perspectives our planet has to offer from high above, you're in the right place. I am Dr. Clive Coetzee, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this captivating journey into the world of remote sensing. Welcome. And please remember to like, subscribe to, and share this video. Thank you.
Okay, so I've done a little bit of a deviation of my normal Google Earth video tutorials in that I was playing around a little bit with videos, creating some videos using an AI tool on remote sensing. There's a couple of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if I count quickly. 11 if I count quickly correct. So I did these 11 video tutorials on the topic of remote sensing, and each of these video tutorials have a specific theme or specific topic, whether it be Sentinel or the bands or whatever. So please go and have a look at it. It's still pretty much work in progress, playing around. I'm also a novel when it comes to these sort of things. So yeah, just playing around a little bit using that AI tool to generate these videos, giving some visualization to this topic of remote sensing. Anyway, we're just playing around with it. Remember, we're still busy with our urban heat maps, the little journey or series, mini series. And we've done a couple of videos on urban heat maps where we were looking at land surface temperatures using Landsat, etc., etc. But and I'm basically done with this. I just have to do those videos, but I've created all the script, etc., etc. But just as I was planning to do this, somebody asked me to do a little bit of work for them on night lights again. So let me just quickly go through that. And the interesting part of that is the use of looping or loops to generate images or to generate the data, etc., rather than to be repetitive over and over, so doing the same thing, copying and paste. Okay, now create this image for this date or create image for that date. We can create a loop where the scripts run through itself and it generates the data or the charts. Before we go on that, please, boys and girls, we're standing at 452. We had a nice surge over the last 2 or 3 weeks. It really pushed this number nicely up to 452. But yeah, please, we need to get that number up. We still, our intermediate target is 500. So we need to get to that 500 benchmark, please, as soon as possible. And then we're going to fight to the 1,000. Then we're going to run to the 1,000. So please, I need your support. Please, boys and girls, like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. Okay, so as I said, I've been asked. Okay, let me just. Okay, I can't open that. I've been asked to remember. This is my region of interest that I normally use. Is this particular area? So what typically happens, and I don't have the. Let me quickly see if I can add this asset quickly. I don't have it now I haven't included it, but let's quickly do this. Let's add the shape file. Let's call it table. Yeah, let's just call it table. And then we're going to display that table. And we're going to display the table. Anyway, but as you remember, we have this region of interest, which is, if I just go there, if I open this, I'll just take a bit of time. There's my region of interest. This should still look familiar to you. Now, what I've been asked is to, this is the second lowest administrative level in South Africa, is what we call a municipal level. Now, the lowest level is we called wards. So this particular region of interest is divided into 7 wards. And that's just randomly bounded within this region of interest. And that each ward typically covers one of the major towns or major urban settlements. Okay, so although we've been operating on this for the whole region of interest, um, there's a couple of towns or urban settlements, for example, there's one sitting there roughly, there's one sitting there, there's one. So what happens is that they typically subdivide this municipal area into smaller parts, and we call that wards. Okay, and so our region of interest, this one that I've look, have 7 wards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Has 7 wards. So this region of interest, if I just want to show it now, again, so this region of interest is subdivided into 7 wards, and that is the lowest official geographical area within South Africa. So we have the national, then we have provincial, then we have district, then we have municipal, and then we have ward. Okay, so that's the lowest official bound delimitation that we get in South Africa. So I was asked then to say, okay, can we produce charts for each of these wards in terms of its nighttime light intensity from the beginning of the data set up till present. Okay, so that's what was asked. Now, you said, first of all, what we need to do is obviously add in the wards. Okay, so there's my wards. They are added in as feature collections. Okay, so they're added in as feature collection. It's a feature collection. It sits in my assets under this ID, blah, blah, blah. Columns is 13, which is just basically the shape and the size and all that stuff. And the properties is basically just the size of it. Okay, so we have 7 wards. We have 7 wards now. If I just go here, code editor, just want to quickly, I should have opened this. My apologies. I should have opened this before the time, but let me quickly just show you. Tutorial 2. Just waiting for it now. Just want to quickly show you. Run. Okay, anyway, while it's waiting. So, Ward 1 is typically around here. Ward 2 is this part here. Ward 3 is this part. Ward 4 is that town. Ward 5 is this part here. Ward 6 is that. And Ward 7 is that part here. So as I said, this location or this region of interest is subdivided into these 7 wards. And so what I was asked is to do a nighttime light intensity profile of each of these wards. Okay, so I could now do it for each one separately, but so that basically means I just copy and paste it. So I do a chart for Ward 1, I write the code for chart for Ward 1, and I run it. And then I duplicate that script that I use for Ward 1. I just change the region of interest to Ward 2, and I run it. And I duplicate that. But you'll see then it becomes a long, drawn-out process. That code becomes extremely, extremely long. Okay, so there's Ward 1. It will show up now here. But so that's Ward 1 located there. Let's make it bigger. But okay, so I'll show you now how the wards. So that's just Ward 1, okay, which will be that ward there. Anyway, so what we're going to rather do then is to create a loop. So we're going to have one script, one piece of code, and it's going to loop for itself, automatically changing the ward details. So that means we don't have to continue to duplicate scripts. Okay, we don't have to duplicate script because, as I said, if we had to generate a chart for Ward 1, copy and paste it, and then for Ward 2, copy and paste it for Ward 3, we're going to have one hell of a long script. Now we're creating a loop, and the loop basically means it's going to run automatically through this, creating these charts. So there's the nighttime light intensity for region interest 1 or Ward 1. There's it for Ward 2. So it creates these charts without us having to duplicate the script the whole time, and thereby we just create a loop, and the loop will do the whole thing. Okay, so let's have a look at how that works. Sorry, I hope you get it. So that's okay. So there's my whole region of interest. Okay, so there's my whole region of interest, and you'll see now if I just quickly do this, you'll see that's Ward 1. Okay, that is Ward 2. That is Ward 3. That is Ward 4. You see, it's this part here. It just covers basically the town of Piketberg. See, that's Ward 4. That's Ward 5. That's Ward 6. And that's Ward 7. That's Ward 7. So there's my 7 wards that we have here. And each of these wards have a nighttime light intensity profile, meaning it has data on night lights from the beginning of the data set, which is 2012, till the latest on a monthly basis. Remember, the nighttime light data set is monthly. So we want to create that profile in a chart, the time series in a chart. Okay, so that's what we want to do, something like this. Okay, so first of all, that's our map center, which is this. And then we're going to define our region of interest. Okay, so we're going to define our region of interest. So we're going to say region of interest 1 is table 1. Table 1 is Ward 1. We can obviously now change this to Ward 1, change that to Ward 1. These names are discretionary. Eh? Remember, these names are totally discretionary. The point is we're defining each of these wards now as a region of interest. So Ward 1 is region of interest 1. Ward 2 is region of interest 2. Ward 3 is region of interest 3, etc., etc. Okay, so these are now our region of interest. Then we basically merge these ones, or we put them as one variable. We create one variable, which is our ROIs, and that ROIs consists of these 7 individual region of interests. And we're going to give them names. So ROI 1 is ROI 1. We can change that to, let's say, Ward 1 if you want to, Ward 2, that might be a bit better, Ward 2. Let's just let's keep it a capital letter there. This is just making it a little bit pretty, making it a bit nice. So we can do that. Ward 3, that should now be Ward 3. Ward 4. Ward 5. Ward 6. And this one will then be Ward 7. Okay. So basically, we now saying in this ROIs, the names is as follow, and code will automatically connect or link the name there with the name here because it's in the same order. Okay, and then obviously we're going to clip it to our region of interest. So we're going to have a variable called clip to study of region of interest. That's where it's going to loop through. It's going to loop through all these ROIs. Okay, it's going to loop through all these region of interests. And we're going to clip it to ROI. Okay, and it's going to clip it to our ROI. Then we have our data set. Okay, we have our data set. We have our data set. And this is the VIRS nighttime light intensity data set. Okay, which is presented as a DN value from 0 to whatever the highest nighttime light is. And it's, I can't remember whether it's what the spatial resolution of this is. We can go and have a look at that to see what is the spatial resolution of this thing, this data set. Let's quickly go and have a look and see. Correct it basically, so that it's 463 meters, and that's the band. Okay, so that's the data set we're going to use, and we're going to start from 2013. Okay, We can start earlier from 2012 because remember this one starts at, this one starts at 2014. So it doesn't start at 2013. Um, let's have a look and see. Yeah, it starts at 2014. So that must actually be 2014. So that's when it starts. I think they've changed it now because it used to be 2012. It used to be 2012. When did they change that? I don't know. There is this one here. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, I wanted to say this one is 2012-04. 463. I'm not sure what the difference is between the two. I'm not sure what the difference is between the two. Um, One will have to have a look. What was that one? Okay, but anyway. Um, so the one that we're using, this one here starts in 2014. And obviously let's have a look and see, 2024 February it stops. Let's have a look. This is corrected. I don't know what the difference is, and it also is to January to February. Okay, so it's basically to February, so it must change that to 3. Anyway, you'll see there, it will go to Feb. So it will, even though if we put the names down, it will start when the data is available in our case. Yeah, okay. So we define the dates. Okay, we define the dates from it. When do it starts and when does it ends? Okay, and then it's going to run through this dates. So we're going to start there and run there. And then it's going to clip to our started area, meaning it's going to run through these loops, these rows. It's going to run through these lloyds. And what we're going to do is we use this sum reducer. So we're looking at the band. Okay, we're looking at the band and specifically the sum. Okay, so we're going to reduce it by the sum. Then we're going to display it. We're going to display that as a chart. And there's our, and then obviously we display the chart. There's our just the details of the chart itself. And here's our loop. It's going to run through the rows. You can see there's the rows. So it's going to run through the rows the whole time. Loop for each row and generate a chart. So it will take this part here and it will use the first row. Okay, it will use the first row. See, I is 0 and I then becomes each row. Okay, so it will generate the sum. Then it will loop through the second row and it creates a chart. Then it will loop through the third row and create a chart. So this basically says to the code, repeat this code, repeat the script for each row in our region of interest, in our study area. Okay, and remember when we have the names, you'll see Roy name plus the Roy name. What is my Roy name? That's my Roy name there. Okay, and it will attach that. But anyway, so that's just creating the detail of the chart itself, which is not necessarily needed. But anyway, it will automatically add the Roy name to it. Oops, I don't want to change it here. Okay, so that's basically the looping function that we create. Okay, so my Roy S is 1 and Roy names is I. That's my Roy's, and that's my Roy names. Says, and I is the number, and I is bigger than is equal to 1 initially, and then you just add a Roy to that. So that's my looping function. So rather than to generate 7 individual scripts or pieces of code, 7 like copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, all of this, then it becomes long. We create this looping function. And I said it will go through, it will start with the clipping function, okay, and it will use the data set. It will clip the data set. It will have your dates like we normally do. It will reduce it. We reduce it because obviously there's Yeah, so we use the sum reducer because we want to calculate. So it's not the medium nighttime lights, it's the sum, because I'm looking at the total per ward. Okay, remember we ward has many pixels, and we sum those pixels because we want to get a total maximum not the maximum, the total night light intensity for my specific ward. So we do using the sum reducer, and then we display it. Okay, then we say, okay, once you've done this, loop to the next the region of interest, which is Ward 2, etc., etc. So this is a nice little neat function that we can add into our script to basically minimize the script itself, to minimize the length and of the script, because if it's too much script, you'll see in some of the previous videos, if we have too much, then our code bombs out. It takes time, too much time, and then the thing bombs out. So this is a neat way of creating, of automating, that's the right word that I'm looking, of automating our script. It's creating these loops. We can create these, we can use loops um, for our region of interest. In this case, we loop for our region of interest. But let's say we had different time periods that we want to run. We can loop through time periods. So we can loop not just through the spatial element of it, but also the time element of it. And that's what we've done in 2, is we've created a loop through each time period. So the region of interest, we loop through the region of interest, and we loop through a time period. And we can create export loops. So you don't have to export, 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 export. You just have one export function. You create a loop, and it will automatically export all the images using that loop function. Okay. So the use of loops, if you can do, and if we can do it right, then this becomes a game changer in the sense that it automates your script. It automates your script. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of hassles. The problem if you have, let's say you had 50 wards, you had 50 wards, um, and if you wanted to create a chart of each of that ward, then you had to create 50 pieces of script to generate those charts, and then your script will be, your project length will be huge, and you run the risk of timeouts and memory exceedings and all these sort of things. So again, if you have a lot of things that you want, repetitive things, then create, use the issue of loops. Okay, so now that we've done our charts through the loops, I haven't displayed I haven't displayed the region of interest here as such. We do that in the next tutorial that I'm going to do. We've done the looping to display the images. Anyway, um, once we've done our charts, we can simply just magnify it, make it bigger, and we can download it. So I can now download each of these charts into Excel and then put them into, because remember they're going to be now separate CSV files. So then I just open each of these separate VS file, copy and paste it into one Excel file. And this is what I get. Okay, this is what I get. There's Ward 1, there's Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, and Ward 7. So these are the nighttime, the sum. Nee? This is not the sum, the mean or the median. This is the sum. So for April 2012, so this must actually be January. Sorry, this must actually be January. That must be February. And this must be 2014. Okay, so then it will run through to, oopsie, why is it doing this now? 2014, and this becomes then, oh man. Um, 2014, this is also 2014. Let's just quickly fix this, and then that becomes in 2015 plus 1. Let's see if this becomes then 20. What? Why is it doing this? 25. I will fix this. Look at this. Something strange going on here now with this data set. So what's this now? See, now it goes to September. There's some months that's not here. That's why these dates are all 19. You see 19. Well, let's have a look. Come on. 2014. Sorry. Let me just quickly fix these ones. Now it should work fine. Let's have a look. Yep. And February 2024, as we projected. Now this number here doesn't make any sense, and that number there doesn't make any sense. Strangely, it's not why is this number here? That can't be that. I mean, these two numbers doesn't make any sense at all. So we'll have to go and manually. You see, that's 84. Okay, so that could make sense. There's a minus there that doesn't make sense at all. And then you have these huge numbers here that makes no sense. So let's make it I'm just going to make it 177, and we're going to make it 161. And this one I'm going to make, I'm just going to make them all 1. Okay, so there we go. And if I put it on a graph, that's roughly what it looks like. Okay, so there is the month and the year and the ward, and ward 1, ward 2, ward 3. So this basically is the sum of the total night lights for ward 1 for the month of January. Because remember, ward 1 have X amount of pixels. So you just add all those, the sum of lights of all those individual pixels together within that ward, and that's that value that we get to. And there's the wards. Now, obviously, we can do all sorts of things with this data. All sorts of things we can do with this, in the sense that we can put it on a chart, we can compare which ward has the most night lights, which ward recorded the highest increase in night lights or the lowest increase in night lights, whatever the case might be. We can now play around with this in Excel. So yeah, and as I said, we can do this now with other images as well, with other data sets as well. So if you have a data set that has time series a part of it, so any data set that's a feature collection, meaning if it's a feature collection, an image collection, if it's an image collection, then it would have a time series element. And if we then, and by that, we can then plot in a chart the behavior of that data set of that image for each of the region of interest over a specific period of time, whether that be on a national level, whether it be on provincial, whatever levels you want, whatever your ROIs are. Remember, these ones you can create. You can create your own regions of interest. And if you have a data set that's an image collection, you can use a looping function. You can use a looping function to create images, charts for each of your region of interest for that specific data set, which I think is quite a neat function, because it saves, as I said, it automates and it saves you a lot of time and effort and stuff. So that's just a quick video on the use of the looping function. We haven't used it as such before in any of the scripts, so this is the first time we've used it, and hopefully this would help you in your endeavors, in your journey. Hopefully this will help you. So yeah, it's a neat little function, it's a neat little trick, and as I said, you will, once you've used it, you'll be using it much more in the future. I'm confident of that. As I said, it is a neat little function. So with that said, let me pause there for now. Um, then, yeah, thank you for your support. Please, boys and girls, let's get those numbers up. Please share, please subscribe, please press those like buttons. It does help the channel a lot. It does help the channel a lot. So with that said, stay tuned. I'll see you on the other side.